Hello, this is Bilal, your economic instructor. Today we'll be solving some MCQs for the chapter cost, one of the most important topics in O-levels. Alright, what is not a variable cost of production? Alright, variable cost which changes with the level of output. So cost of fuel, well, it will change if I'm a taxi driver. If I want to travel more, it will change. Cost of raw material, that would also change. So they both are variable costs. Extra pay for working additional hours, that is basically wages. It's a variable cost. Rent is always a fixed cost. Easy peasy. What is the definition of a firm's revenue? A firm's revenue is basically the money earned by selling goods and services. So money received from sales. Sales volumes basically mean number of units. The quantity of units sold, surplus over cost, that's basically profit. Tax payment, incorrect. What would cause diseconomies of scale? So diseconomies of scale means average total cost has increased. A fall in the demand for the product produced by the firms. No, it has nothing to do with cost. It has everything to do with cost. It has nothing to do with demand. It has everything to do with cost. So it's incorrect. Merger with another firm that results in slower decision making. Okay, so merger means the size of the firm has increased, leading to slower decision making, communication issues, cost would increase. So B seems to be the right answer. Spending more on research and development to create projects. No, this does not increase the cost. Lack of skilled worker in the geographical area where the firm is based. This is a diseconomies of scale, but it's an external diseconomies of scale, and the question explicitly asked for internal economies of scale. All right, so D cannot be the answer. Moving on to the next one. Okay, some calculation. A firm produces 200 units. Variable cost, total variable cost, right, is 600. Total fixed cost is 2000. What is the average cost at this output? So ATC is basically equal to total cost divided by units. We don't have the total cost. So what are we going to do? We're just going to add the variable and the fixed cost, which is 600 plus 2000. This gives me my total cost of 2600 divided by 200. All right, so this would give me 13, and 13 is C, and this is the right answer. Moving on. The fifth MCQ. The table shows the cost incurred by a firm producing computers. Output 0, 1, 2, 3. Total cost 20, 1200, 1350, 1450. What are the fixed cost if 3000 computers are being produced? So basically it's asking about this area. Now for fixed cost, it does not change with the level of output. So out of 1450, we have variable cost and we have fixed cost. How are we going to identify the fixed costs? Well, there are two methods. The first method is extremely simple. When we are producing 0 units, we are still paying a rent, and that is our fixed cost. So that is one way of identifying it. So it's 20 and it's in thousands, so it's 20,000. Okay, let's move on to the sixth MCQ. The sixth MCQ is the financial director of a company adds up the cost of the firm, rent, insurance, new machinery, and chief executive's basic salary. The director then divides that total by the firm's output. So rent is a fixed cost, insurance is a fixed cost, new machinery is a fixed cost, salary is a fixed cost. If I divide my fixed cost by the unit, I would get what? That's right, average fixed cost. In 2009, Gulf Airlines, which was making a loss, stated it would reduce the number of new aircrafts in order to on order. If it did this, which cost would be directly affected by? So we know if you're not buying a new aircraft, the fixed cost would decrease. So fixed cost is the right answer. Now, some of you might argue that the variable also would decrease, variable cost would also decrease. But that is not directly, that's a bit of indirectly, because we are not buying new planes, we don't need fuel. So that is indirect, right? So fixed cost is the right answer for the seventh MCQ. The diagram shows the cost of a firm. What is the firm's total variable cost at an output of 100 units? All right, output of 100 units. We need to answer variable cost, right? So we know that this is my total cost because it starts from the fixed cost, and this starts from the origin. This is my variable cost. So 100, at this point we get 50, and 50 is my right answer. Now 50,000 for 100 units. So it's not 500, it's 50,000, right? D is the right answer. 9. The table shows information that managers of a company have from a week of business activity. Number of employees 100, average wage 900, value of output 100,000, rent 10,000, raw material 20,000. Assuming there are no other cost, what is the value of the fixed cost? Right. This is not a fixed cost. Wage is not a fixed cost. Value of output is not a fixed cost. It's basically the selling price. Selling price multiplied by the units. Rent is a fixed cost. Raw material is a variable cost. So here we go. B, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Right? All right. Let me just check. Yes, it's 10,000. Moving on. Which cost will necessarily fall as output increases? We know that the variable cost would always increase when the output increases. We know that the fixed cost would remain the same. So it cannot be fixed cost, it cannot be variable cost. Let's look at total cost. The total cost also increases and it starts off from the fixed cost. Hence, total cost cannot be the answer. Oh, let's look at average costs. So this is basically my variable cost, average variable cost. It also remains the same. And average fixed cost, this is where students get confused. It has a shape like this. Average fixed cost would decrease as output increases, and A is my right answer. The table shows the cost of a firm. Just give me a second. The table shows the cost of a firm. Units 10, 20, 30, 40. Variable cost 15, 25, 35, and 45. Total cost. What is the value of firm's fixed cost? Now, in the other MCQ, I was about to explain another method, but I did not because there was another MCQ on it, right? Now let's look at that. Now, in order to find the fixed costs, we just need to subtract them at any point. You can subtract them at any point and you'll get your fixed costs. So 85 minus 15, that gives me 70, right? So 70 is my fixed cost. Moving on, the table shows the cost of a firm. It can sell the units for 10 each. That's the selling price. How many units would the firm produce to maximize profits? All right. What are we going to do? We just need to calculate the profit. So if we're selling 10 each, the quantity produced, we're selling it. So this becomes my revenue, sales revenue 70, 80, 90, 100. Which has the highest profits? So let's calculate the profit. This gives me 60, this gives me 65, this gives me 70, this gives me 75. So D is my right answer. You will have to calculate the profit, right? That's pretty easy. What I did was I multiplied 7 by 10 to get 70. I multiplied 8 by 10 to get 80, right? So that is how I calculated my sales revenue. The diagram shows fixed cost. Well, this is my fixed cost, the variable cost, and the total cost. So fixed cost, variable cost, total cost. At output Q1, which distance represents at output Q, which distance represents the variable cost? Okay. Okay. So what distance represents the firm's variable cost? Q to S is my variable cost. But we don't have Q to S. That's an issue. That's what I was thinking. So let's look at another way. The distance from T to R would also be my variable cost, right? Why is that? Why is that? Because because let me just give you an example. This is my entire total cost, right? This entire highlighted area in yellow. If I could eliminate this area, which is my fixed cost, so total cost is equal to variable cost minus fixed cost. If I can eliminate my fixed cost, I will get my variable cost. That is the concept, right? So T to R is my variable cost and T to Q is my total cost. So R to Q is my fixed cost, and if I can eliminate R to Q, I get my variable cost, which is R to T here, T to R. Major computer company announced that its profit had fallen below the level predicted. What might have caused this? All right, profits have decreased. Increased advertising costs that greatly improved sales. Well, if that would have been the case, our profits would have been increasing. A could not be the answer. Low prices that made the company's products competitive. Now, this cannot be the answer as well, because our products are being competitive, which means we are selling more. Well, this can be the answer. Let's look at some other options. Maybe we get a good option. New technology that reduce costs. No, this will increase our profit. Reduce sales and low prices. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is the right answer. B is incorrect. Why? Because we are reducing prices, but our product is competitive, which means our sales are increasing. D is the right answer because we are selling less at a lower price. Hence, D is the right answer. An industry is experiencing diseconomies of scale. Now, the first thing that you would have noticed, industry. It's talking about external economies of scale. What would be happening to the long run average cost and the total cost? Well, the long run average cost. Remember, we studied this ATC. This is basically long run average cost. So the average cost will be increasing. That is diseconomies of scale. This is the basic definition. And what would the total cost? What would happen to the total cost? The total cost is like this. So the total cost will increase as the number of units increase. Right? So D is my right answer. All right. That is it for today. I hope you got something to learn out from it, and keep learning. Thank you. Until next time.